Hello kids, welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, do subscribe our channel and also click the bell button. I'm Ms. Aruni. I'm teaching your grade 10 business and accounting studies. So our lesson number 6 today is the dual impact of transactions. We will be discussing about how we identify it, how we record these transactions, posting it, balancing off, as well as your 11th lesson, the trial balance, will be discussed here as well. The dual impact of business transactions. As we discussed in lesson number 4 and 5, business transactions have a dual impact. It means for every debit entry, there will be a credit entry. So this effect on our assets, liabilities, equity, income, or the expenses. So just as each transaction made two changes in the accounting equation, when we are recording it into our ledger accounts, it will be having a dual impact. For example, if it is the capital invested, our current assets will increase as well as our equity will increase. So increase of assets will be a debit entry, increase of equity will be a credit entry. The next thing is selling goods worth 40,000 for 60,000. We discussed this in a previous video as well. So then cash increased by 60,000. The stock of goods reduced by 40,000 and there's an income increase by 20,000. You would realize how this is made in our next slides. Though it is easy to identify the dual impact from accounting equation, it is not really easy to record these kinds of transactions because there is always two entries and not three. Therefore, we need to meaningfully understand what double entry system is and thereby practice it. So now I'm going to teach you what the double entry system is about. Each business transaction has a dual impact, as I said before. So in the debit and the credit sides, the accounts will be impacted. In simple terms, double entry is the accounting system which records the same amount in debit and credit sides of the accounts. So, as I said in our previous video that there's an opposite reaction for the transactions in accounting equation. The golden rule here is for every debit entry, there is a credit entry and vice versa with the same amount, right? So we are definitely having a balance. For whether it is debit or credit, it will be the same amounts recorded. Finally, it will create a balance in our transactions. So what is an account? An account is commonly accepted structure that is used to record the change, the increase or decrease of an asset, equity, liability, income, or an expense for a period of time. So when there's a collection of accounts, we call it a ledger, and one account is called as a ledger account, right? So there are types of accounts and a format of recording. So if it is assets or expenses, the increase will be recorded as a debit and the decreases will be recorded as a credit. While liability, equity, and income, all the increases will be recorded as a credit entry while the decreases will be debit so that they will have a balance. So what I said before is summarized here. The behavior of assets and expenses. So if they are increasing, I said that debit. So at that time, liabilities, equity, and income will be credit. So if assets and expenses reduce, it will be a credit one. Then liabilities, equity, and income will be debit. So such way, there will definitely be a balance in them. So next, we are going to describe what these accounts or the ledger accounts are. So in simple, your teacher might have taught you that these are called as T accounts. So the reason we call it T is they have this format. They look like a T, right? But please stick to calling it as ledger accounts rather than T accounts if you are going to follow this same stream in your future studies as well. So whenever there's a ledger account, we write the name of the account, for example, cash, and we put this short form of account, and it has always on the left side, it will be the debit, where we write the date, the description. You might have the ledger folio number or else the value. And then on the right side, it will be the date, description, value, the same thing. So always this will be the formula or the format of writing, right? So now I'm going to discuss an activity with you. So we are going to post transactions in the double entry method, right? Next, I will be discussing how we balance it off and how we create a trial balance. So our uh, in your writing, sorry, in your textbook, you have this activity 3. So please go to your textbook. You have this activity 3. I have used that to do this exercise with you. So on January 1st, introduced capital worth rupees 300,000. So how are we going to record? There will be an increase in cash. The business will receive cash. The value will be on January 1st. 300 will be received, 300,000 from whom? Koi account එකෙන්ද ඒක එන්නේ? A account එකේ නමයි මෙතන ලියන්නේ. That is capital account, right? You don't write cash on the cash account. Always the respective account which is related to this transaction will be recorded here. So on the capital account, now see cash, this is a debit entry. So there should be a credit entry on the capital. The increase of capital will be a credit entry. So on the 1st of January, you write the respective account. That will be 300,000. So that is our transaction number 1. Transaction number 2, purchase of equipment for use in business 50,000. You're taking equipment, right? So see, this there does not mention what business it is. Equipment is purchased in a different transaction, goods are purchased on another, right? So then you can create an equipment account because this is not a business that is selling equipment. So since we are purchasing, right? Let me go back. Purchase of equipment for the use of the business. Now, no mention about whether it is a credit purchase. So then it will be definitely a cash purchase. So cash is reduced. So the reduction is credit for 50,000 and the equipment will have a debit entry or an increase of 50,000. So you can see the double entry. Next one, purchased goods on credit worth 80,000. So we are taking on credit, no impact to the cash. Purchases account, we write the creditor and 80,000. And on the creditor's account, we write, since it is an increase in credit, the respective account name and 80,000. So there's a double entry there as well. So if you're always sticking to double entries in transaction by transaction, you can easily balance your accounts. Then pay telephone bill of your owner's house using the cash of the business 5,000. So you don't have to worry about whether it is the owner's telephone bill or whether it is his electricity bill. We don't put that into our accounts. We just state that, sorry, we just state that it is simply a drawing. So how do we record drawings? Since we had made a payment, so the cash is reduced by 5,000 and formally we stated that equity decreased by drawings should be debited, but here we are creating a drawings account and then debiting it, right? So we don't deduct it directly from the equity. Now in our ledger accounts, we are creating a drawings account. So I hope it is clear to you. Next one is cash sales worth 50,000. Cash sales. So you're getting cash. Cash you receive, it is a debit entry, but sales done, there should be a credit one next. So that is sales account. It will be 50,000 credit. Then paid insurance worth rupees 7,000. We are paying So here cash account credit insurance 7,000 and on the insurance account debit 7,000. Cash purchases worth 40,000. So then purchases account we put 40,000 as well as on the on the cash account we write purchases name and then 40,000 is credited, and on the purchases account we write cash and the value is there. So you can see I have used the colors also so you can clearly understand each transaction by transaction. And our final entry is paying creditors worth rupees 20,000. So yeah, the value is 20,000. We are paying creditors. So creditors will, so since we are paying, our money will be reduced. It will be a credit entry of 20,000. And on the creditors, we have to debit it because liability is decreasing. So then there will be a 20,000, right? So that is how we post these transactions in accounts. Your next activity is also something that you have to understand because this can be there in your exam, right? This is something new and different. Here, a cash book is given with the entries you are to do. Describe the transactions for each entry listed in the cash account in chronological order. So, what do you have to do? You have to describe the transactions, right? Your work is to describe the transactions on each entry in the cash account in chronological order. That is, from the first to the last, you have to describe one by one. So, how are you going to find the chronological order? Based on the date, you can find it easily. So, on January 1st, invested capital worth 80,000. On January 6th, cash sales 60,000. On January 7th, obtained a bank loan 100,000. Am I going to go down? No. January 9th, cash purchases 50,000. January 12th, equipment purchased 80,000. January 15th, paid electricity bill 10,000. January 18th, made an investment 40,000. January 22nd, paid bank loan interest 10,000. January 25th, paid creditors 5,000. January 27th, received interest income 12,000. And on January 13th, received from debtors 4,000. So that is how you write. So if you did not really understand, please don't write the same thing I'm saying. Put the practice it by yourself, right? Because you won't be writing the exact thing what I'm saying to your exams. And if there's another thing given other than what is recorded here, you will be confused. So please construct your own transactions. Try it now so you can easily and confidently face your exams. Next, we are discussing about how we balance off accounts. So the transactions in accounts are recorded in the principle of double entry. I said that before. So the differences between debit and credit entries, if there's a large value difference, we bring that to the opposite side and we balance it, right? So I'm going to teach you that rather than describing these lines that I have stated, how we do it practically. So imagine there are few entries. So in the cash account debit side, you have two entries for the ease of understanding. I have taken the total is 80,000. On the credit side, imagine there's another few, but the total is 20,000. So which has the higher value? It is on the debit side. This account has a higher value. So because of that, to bring the opposite side to the same value, this has 80,000. To bring the other side the same value of 80,000, we have to bring a balance. That is the balance carried down 60,000 on the side which it had a lower balance, right? So after that, once we balance our accounts, what we have to do is we have to bring this balance to the opposite side from which we carried down. Right? So that අපි opposite side එකට ගෙනාවහම ඇත්තටම වැඩි value එකක් තිබ්බ පැත්තෙන්ම අපේ account එක balance වෙනවා. ඒක හරිම clearly තේරුම් ගන්න. That's why I'm saying this in Sinhala as well. When we have a lower valued side, we carry down the higher valued difference and balance it to the same total. After that, the carried down amount will be brought forward or brought forward to the next year by taking it to the same side the higher value was recorded, right? So then on the debit side, we have a balance brought forward. Is it 80,000? No, it is the same amount of 60,000. That is what I have recorded here. After you have done such, you can go to the trial balance. So the trial balance is a list made at the end of the period, including all debit and credit balances of your ledger accounts. So it is not an account, we call it a list, right? So if we have properly made the trial balance, all the debit entries of your accounts will be equal to all the credit entries, and then it will show that it is mathematically correct or accurate, right? So this was the former example I took, right? This was the form example we did, right? The activity number 3, the same one I took to explain how we balance off and how we create the trial balance. So this is the cash account. You can see the higher amount is 350. So the rest of the balance 350, deducting the total of this, we get a balance carried down of 228. So after that, I'm bringing the carried down value to the opposite side where the higher value was recorded. And then this 228 will be moving to the trial balance here. We are taking that on the same side the brought forward value occurred. Right? Brought forward value, the red color one, is on the debit side of the cash account. I'm taking the same to the debit side, the same value in the trial balance. Right? So then the capital here, capital value recorded is on the credit side. I'm carrying down that to the debit side, and then I'm bringing forward it to the credit side. So such way I have performed each transaction. Try to do it yourself, and then please pause this video here and check whether you have correctly identified it. Rather than me explaining each and every step, try to do this by yourself. If you can do this properly, you will be able to get a good mark with it, because this is a compulsory part. That is why I have taught you how to write the double entries, how to balance it off, and how to bring it back to the trial balance, right? So this is just a list. When we prepare the trial balance, what happens is we are going to find out whether it is mathematically accurate, whether all the debit entries equals the credit entries. And another simple tip you have to remember is you're doing an exam, so there might be a chance or there might be an issue of not being able to balance your trial balance, right? Not being able to put the total. But if you are able to bring all the debit and credit entries, you will definitely get a good score. So remember, even if it is the last 5 minutes, draw the trial balance format, start writing write the descriptions and the debit and the credit entries, and even at the last minute you might be able to approximately calculate the value, and even if you don't, you can get a good mark because you have drawn the trial balance. So remember, you have limited time, so do your work quickly and accurately, and don't keep your papers blank. So, with that, we can end our lesson today. Hope you enjoyed learning with us. Thank you.